Dear Frill Your Mix Audio Academy students, welcome back to a brand new video. My name is Sergio, and in today's video I would like to show you a technique that I'm using since years and really saved me tons of hours and speed up my workflow in an incredible way. This is very Ableton related, so if you're using another DAW, you probably cannot copy the settings one-to-one as I'm doing right here, but if you're using Ableton, this video is 100% for you. So I hate long intros, let's dive directly into it. So let's have quickly a listen before and after my processing of this tech housey drum loop. Alright, as you can hear now, it sounds punchier, it sounds tighter, it sounds as a crispier. And just to give you an understanding of the idea what I'm doing here, you probably noticed this audio effect rack here. And the intention or the idea was that I normally, when I mix, and I studied all the project I did, I normally like 2 or 3 saturation plugins that I always use. I like 2 or 3 compression plugins that I always use, 1 or 2 clippers that I normally use, and of course every source needs another processing, and I wanted to be able to compare very quickly if I like more saturator A or saturator B. And to do so I did this audio effect rack, and I will quickly show you what's inside. So we have the silver bullet in the API style, we have the silver bullet in the Neve style, we have the true iron, we have the API 2500 style compression, we have the OTT, Elisa envelope, the space control, SUV 2, and then we have 2 clippers. One is from the alpha compressor and one is the standard clip. And what I actually did, I mapped and routed the parameters of, for example, these 2 saturation tools, the silver bullet in the Neve mode here and the silver bullet in the API style, to these knobs. What does this mean? This means if I turn down, it's written here, silver bullet API, silver bullet Neve, if I turn them down completely, you won't hear anything. But if I want to compare them, I can very quickly just turn up the knob to a certain amount that I like, and you can immediately see that here we're going to change the parameters as well. Quickly have a listen, do the same with the silver bullet in the Neve style, and decide which one I like better. I'm also able, through these knobs here, to combine them. So to have a listen, okay, let's add a little bit of silver bullet Neve, let's add a little bit of silver bullet API style, and let's have a listen how they sound together. I know it's not a technique that is completely new, it's not a technique that nobody uses, but to be very honest, I don't see a lot of producers, mixing or mastering engineer using it that way. And you can trust me, it boosts up your workflow in a very, very immense way. And what's also very cool, you don't have to look always on the plugins, because often when we are going to make decision while having a look on the plugin, we are setting the parameters in a completely other way, for example an EQ, than if we're just going with the ears, just having a listen to the sound. And it really helps to have a consistent workflow, and also to have, when you are, let's say you have deadlines, you have a lot of work, to have done the mixing work in a way that you like, in a very high quality, in a super fast way. Okay, what we are going to do now is we are going to set up the parameters together, so to build a chain like this. And before we are doing that, I would like just to give you a quick overview through the entire chain. So the first thing that I like to add is always a utility plugin, just to make sure that the input gain is exactly on the amount that I want to have it, and that then is going through the entire plugins. So if I start to mix and I see, okay, I need a little bit more gain, or I have too much gain here, I can simply go up or down here. Then I have an EQ. The reason why I have this EQ, and you can see we have already some processing here. If I have sounds that have, for example, too much rumble, too much bass, sub-frequencies, I want quickly go rid of them before I start to feed all the tools in here. Then, very important, we have these two tools here, Swiss Army meters are they called. You can use also a completely other different meter plugin that shows you true peak. I want to be sure that I'm not going to be louder while I'm tweaking the knobs here. So that's the reason why I have one here and one at the end of the chain. And what I have as well on the end is a EQ, just for the reason that if I'm going to process everything down here and I notice, it was a little bit too much, I can quickly readjust, for example, a certain frequency band. In this case, the high band. Let's have quickly a listen what's doing. Yeah, you can probably hear the highs are a tiny bit too shiny, so I wanted to cut them just a little. And this is exactly the reason why I'm using a EQ before, just to not feed all these plugins here with too much low end, for example, and also a EQ on the end. I hope this makes sense. Now I'm going to delete this one, and we are going to build an audio effect track together, because it's a bit tricky and we need to take care on certain points. Alright, so let's build a chain together. Like I told you, you can really copy this kind of settings that I'm doing right now for your drum bass. I like to start with the utility. After the utility, I like to use a FEP filter. Then I like to use a second FEP filter for the end of the chain, and in between we are going to add randomly some plugins. I don't want that the video is going to be 6 hours long, so I'm just adding 2 or 3. I'm starting with the silver bullet. Let's add the iron and maybe even the OTT. Perfect. All right. Now, the first thing that we are going to do is, let me quickly close here everything. Sorry. The first thing that we are going to do, we are going to group the silver bullet, the true iron, and the OTT. Pressing Command G, putting everything in here. All right, and now we are going to open the macro section by clicking here. Now, I open quickly the silver bullet, and what we want to achieve now, it's that if we're going to turn up this knob here, the macro here, that we're also going to have a change in here. Let's try that out. To see which parameter we need to map into the macro, I like just to play around here a little bit, and then we can see down here what's moving. So it's this one, and now we are going to click map to macro 1. Perfect. Now what's going to happen is, if I turn up the knob here, we're automatically also going to move the parameters up here. So far so good. Now a very important thing, as you probably see on the last FEP filter that we have on the chain, we have some noise in here, even if we are not going to move the parameters. This one is on 0. This often is because companies that want to emulate analog gear, are going to add some noise, or even sometimes on EQs you have already, even if you're not touching any kind of knob on the EQ, you have already some curves that are going on, some EQ curves, and we absolutely don't want that. So we want that if here nothing is going on, that this plugin is deactivated. To do so, we need to click here, the on-off button of the plugin, and map it again to gain 1. Now it's going to be a little bit tricky. What we need to do is click into the map section, and now we have like the device on parameters and the gain parameters. If we want that the plugin is only activated if we start to move here, we need to put the minimum on 1. What's going to happen now? If I turn the knob up, we're going to activate the plugin. You can also see it perfectly here, how it's going to disappear, the yellow kind of knobs. If I'm going to 0, the plugin is off. On, off. This is very important. This is really very important. I'm just going quickly to do another example with the iron. So I just want to map the mix knob to macro 2. Going to play around with the mix knob. Perfect. We're going to turn it down completely and macro 2. And as well here, we're going to click into the device on or off button, route it to macro 2, go into the mapping section, and here the minimum needs to be 1. Let's have a look. Yes, plugin off, as you can see here, plugin on as soon as we turn it up just a little bit. Now we are going to do something very similar with the OTT, but there are plugins that you are going just to use very subtle. So for example, if I'm going to turn up the OTT completely, then it would be way too much. So we don't need so much of depth that we need to program. Normally I use it between 4 to 15-20%. And we are going to map firstly on the OTT the depth to macro 3, and as well we are going the device on and off button to macro 3 to map the device on and off button to macro 3. And now if we click into the mapping section, we can see that first, of course, we need to adjust this one to 1, and this one to 1, and as well here on the depth we need to turn down the max because we don't need that it goes until 100%. We can simply turn down the max to a certain amount. Now it's not written exactly how much, maybe there is a function and I don't know it, but you need to go a little bit by feeling. Let's try it like this. Let's go to 28. And if I'm going to turn up the depth knob, you will see that we are only able to turn it up to a certain percentage, in this case 26%. And this is also very helpful, so you can make super fine adjustments with it. Of course, if you have a MIDI controller, you can route these knobs also to your MIDI controller and just tweak them with your hands. And yeah, actually that's how I normally map them. I know it's a bit advanced tutorial, but really try it out because all the students that are doing this are having a massive improvement in workflow and even in quality. We need to make 2 more steps. We just can click into the utility, press Command A, Command G, and now we need to save by clicking here on the save button this drum rack. We can name it YouTube test. And the funny thing now is, whenever you need to mix your drums, just click in here and good to go. Let's make a short audio example. I spoke so much in this video. We had not a lot of music, but a lot of me speaking. Sorry for that. Before and after. As you probably can hear, in this case we don't have the same volume, and on my one I have also a utility again on the end just to balance the volume a little bit. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was a little bit a more advanced technique. I was speaking a lot and I'm not very used to do YouTube videos, so if you have any suggestion what I can do better for the next time, please leave a comment down below. If your mixes or your tracks are not sounding like the tracks you love, if you're stuck in your career as a music producer, mixing or mastering engineer, and you want to reach the next level, I'm running a super successful mentoring program. I will put a link in the description. If you have any suggestion for other videos that you would like to have from me, other topics that you're interested in, write it down in the comments as well. Thanks a lot for watching. See you next time.